Hello and welcome. You have tuned in to the Foreign Film Frequency, a podcast about what English speakers tend to call foreign language films or international films, and what the rest of the world simply call films. My name is Nikolai, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host Nicolas, and together we travel the world through cinema with the goal of watching a movie from every country in the world and bring you, the listener, our thoughts along the way. For each episode, we pick one movie to watch, discuss, and rate, and before we end, we'll let you know what movies we'll be watching next so that you, the listener, can join us in this journey from home. Now sit back, relax, and cue the subtitles. Nikolai. When you think back to being a teenager, what environment shaped you the most?
From what I can remember,
Yeah.
it was definitely friends.
Yeah.
Friends, acquaintances, the social circle.
Growing up, I don't even know where you grew up. We met later in life.
Yeah. So I have two places, if you can say that. Like my early teenage years was in a, I mean, not to sell it too roughly, but a social housing with the issues that
social housing
housing has. And then an abrupt change to one of the the richest neighborhood in all of Denmark. Still in social housing, but in a much better location. And basically, in the first place, my parents played a huge part in shielding.
Yeah, steering you clear.
Running in advance, trying to make this path look better.
Yeah.
And they did an amazing job at that. The second place, I was already like in, high school and university later. So then the social circle doesn't matter as much where you live. It's more who you hang out with.
I mean, I think...
How about you?
Yeah, well, I grew up in very safe, good environment. Not really much to complain about, to be honest. Small city. My closest friends today are still people that I grew up with and went to school with. And families with, not everybody with a lot of money or anything, but all right to do. Not a lot of social issues. My area was kind of split because it was near the coast. So there were both like apartment blocks with all the regular people. And then there was the people who lived down by the beach, who were definitely among the
fancy people,
very rich people of Denmark, some of the most expensive houses. And I remember that a lot of people, it was always like the dad was on his second or third family, and they all had grown-up siblings, and like 20-year-old older dads and their mothers, and mothers who stayed at home, but nothing to complain about. But yeah, maybe a weird question to start by, but I think a lot of this movie is about the environment you grow up and the backstory of this. What did we watch today?
We watched biographical drama called Christiane F from Germany, written by Herman Weigel and directed by Uli Edel. And featuring both in person and the music of David Bowie, which, I mean, at that time he was a mega star. So it must have improved the hype.
Can I just ask, because my first idea for a lead-in question, if you will, instead of this about your environment and all, was, do you like David Bowie?
No.
No, me neither.
I wish I did.
So a lot of music, even if it isn't my style, I sort of understand why some people like it. David Bowie is one of the ones do not understand it. I don't understand what people see in it. It's just every time I hear it, it's just not for me. And I honestly don't understand how he got as big as he did. Not to slam him down or anything. I mean, obviously he doesn't need my approval or anything. But just it's just one of those, like, the kind of music where I don't understand it, even because I can hear pop music that I maybe not listen to, or rap music. I don't listen to a lot of rap music either, hip hop, and I can still understand why people like it and see that it's good quality or whatever. Right? This one, I just don't. Yeah, but yeah, he is a big part of it.
And I've tried.
I
have desperately, but
I
really
also
tried.
put it on
and a lot of people that I know and I respect their taste really love him.
That's the thing as well for me. A lot of people that I know love it, and I just don't get it.
No. But he was in it, and no doubt helped elevate this film. It premiered on the 2nd of April, 1981, and had a production budget of $2.7 million, which is 3 times more than the previous film we watched, Control, but still
nothing like a Hollywood
very
movie
measly.
Or anything,
Like if you put David Bowie with his star status in 1981, who would be comparable today?
It's wild.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
I mean,
something like that.
Sorry,
yeah.
but I like Bowie more than Swift.
Yeah, I know.
But I can imagine if
caliber of stardom.
Yeah, if she was to star in a movie today,
it would be,
that budget would not be 2.7 million at all.
I think he did it as a favor to the subject of the movie, just because she was a fan of him. I think she got to, like, the real person got to meet him. So I think I don't think he necessarily
I don't think he got paid. No.
Let's just say with a budget for an entire movie of 2.7 million, I don't think he got paid.
No. It was by far the most successful West German film of the year, with 4.6 million tickets sold. It currently stands at a 7.5 on IMDb with 34,000 ratings, a score of 3.9 on Letterboxd, and on Rotten Tomatoes it has an 80% on the tomato meter and 85% on the popcorn meter. Almost identical
to our last movie.
The previous one.
Control from Hungary.
I almost asked, do you agree? But let's wait with that question.
Yeah, because we'll see how we'll score it. And as always, we also look at three of the more mainstream movies from Hollywood that came out the same month to see what that was like. So please, will you tell us what we have for April of 1981?
What a dire month for Hollywood movies.
I didn't know any of the ones.
Me neither.
I just picked three.
Imagine these three are the ones that made the cut. All right, so we have Excalibur, the epic dark, and I'm reading here, the epic dark medieval fantasy film directed by John Boorman that retells the legend of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. We have Going Ape, a comedy starring Tony Danza, Danny DeVito, and 3 orangutans. Jesus. And we have a romantic crime movie called Atlantic City by Louis Malle, and starring Burt Lancaster and the epic Susan Sarandon.
Have you ever seen any of these movies?
Never.
No.
I haven't even heard of them.
No, me neither. I think, from looking it up, I think Atlantic City did quite well and won some prizes, but it's not a movie that I know. And Excalibur, not at all. Going Ape, not at all. But I will say, if any of these three movies I would like to see, it's just to see what the hell this Going Ape is all
me
about.
Too. I'm completely unironically, I'm a bit. It piqued my interest.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to see it's
Danny DeVito and Tony Danza
and 3 orangutans.
And 3 orangutans.
So I'm gonna watch that one.
I don't think if I had watched them that I would say, just going by what they sound like and what they are, I think I would still watch today's movie.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it is the superior movie without having seen any of the other three.
On artistic merit alone, this one deserves
something. So let's start by reading the IMDb tagline, and it reads: a girl in 1970s Berlin becomes addicted to heroin. Everything in her life slowly begins to distort and disappear as she befriends a small crew of junkies and falls in love with a drug-abusing male prostitute. Does this sum up the movie?
Nah.
Kind of does.
It kind
of does. I mean, if you had to
short, but
selling it short, but if you had to describe it in a sentence, ish,
probably
or two, it's about what it is about, right?
Yeah.
So before we get into the movie, let's just briefly cover some of the backstory. So the movie is based on the 1979 book, which it was released in English under the name Zoo Station: The Story of Christiane F, written by journalist Kai Hermann and Horst Rieck, from the transcribed and edited tapes, the recordings that they made in 1978 with Christiane Felcherinow, who at that time only was 15. She was born in 1962 in Hamburg, and Felcherinow soon moved to West Berlin with her parents and her younger sister, and they settled in Gropiusstadt in Neukölln, which is this, we also see it in the movie, just big, soulless apartment buildings in West Berlin. At the age of 12, she was smoking marijuana with some friends, and that gradually started experimenting with LSD and other drugs. Already by the age of 14, she was fully addicted to heroin, and she was sustaining her addiction through prostitution and hanging out with fellow sex workers at the Berlin Zoo Station. In 1978, when she was just 15, she was a witness in trial against a guy who had paid underage girls for sex. And that was when she met these two journalists who interviewed her because they were covering teen drug use in West Berlin. And they recorded some interviews with her for a series of articles in the news magazine Stern. And then a year later, they published the book under the name Wir Kinder vom Bahnhofszoo, which translates as We Children from Zoo Station. And it became a massive hit with 1.3 million copies sold within the first 3 years in Germany alone, and then it was translated into a lot of other languages. And already a year after the publication, work began to make this bestseller book into a movie, which was then released in 1981. And it also became a massive hit and quickly gained cult status. Now, I also read the book before this episode, and it's interesting to see that the movie actually only really covers a few middle chapters in a way, because the book also explores a lot of her childhood. There's a lot of backstory of how she gets to where we meet her in the book as a 14-year-old. And it also talks a lot about her time after, her fight to get out of addiction, which is not really covered. It just sort of ends with an epilogue little sentence in the movie. But I will say that the part that the movie covers of the book, it does very closely to what is described in the book. I think the actual story or the book is even more brutal and heart-wrenching than what we see in the movie, and that's not saying just a little, because it's quite a rough watch, and it really doesn't hold back when portraying drug use and childhood prostitution, really. So I highly recommend reading the book as well, if you like the movie, of course. It gives sort of a full picture of her story, and it also contains some quotes by her mother and a pastor from a Berlin youth center. Have you read the book before?
No.
No. Had you seen the movie before? Because I watched it first time in German class in maybe 7th, 8th grade.
Something like that. Me too.
Yeah.
I had German in elementary school as well,
Yeah.
and we watched. I think we watched this one, and we watched Das Leben der Anders.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I mean, we are roughly the same age, so I think it's one that, at least here, it seems like one that most people go through when you talk.
I mean, I appreciate why they would show it in 8th grade, but I don't know if it's still shown in 8th grade. It's a rough one.
And it's quite graphic as well. One thing I think is very interesting here is that this is made, like the movie is made literally a year after. And if you read the book, she's not really out of this thing at all.
No.
All the events are taking place only 2 or 3 years before this movie, and they're all real characters using real names. I think maybe today, if you made this movie, you would probably change for anonymity, but they do not do that. It's her name. It's the name of all the people that she met are real people. One of her friends die, and they use her actual photo on the front page of a newspaper and that is a real person. It's not like the actor they just put in. They use the real things, and so I think it is very realistic, and perhaps more realistic than you would make it today, just out of concern for these children. None of them are above 18
and
by
families.
The time this movie is released.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're out of it. It's not like a happy story that, she's on her way out of it, but all these other people are just still in it and would still be, when you have this movie, you would be able to go down to this Subahnhof and pick one of the ones portrayed in the movie up for a sexual service.
Yeah, it's really to hammer that point home. In the credits after the movie, there are, the names of the kids that died are on the screen, and there's like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, they mentioned 3 by name, I think. Yeah,
they all born the same year, all died the same year.
Yeah.
At 17.
Yeah, and one of them is only 14.
Yeah, one of them is 14, but there's like 3 that's the same. It's harrowing. I watched it with family fun time. I watched it with with my wife and my sister, and when there was 30 minutes left of the film, we had to pause to get water and whatever, and then we started watching the end, and with 15 minutes to go, my sister's just like, "How has it only been 15 minutes of this? It feels like an hour." Just pure misery.
It is.
Yeah.
And it really does. It's sort of a slow start. But I think it really depicts this completely no holds barred. It's just full on displaying this addiction, and I think that comes from the fact that it is very, very close to the book. It's one of the things that I read that was kind of troubling was that she became sort of a style icon after the movie was released, and almost like some teenage girls wanted to be her, and I can see that is also an issue with a lot of media, and especially we talked about it as well with the first movie we watched, Man Bites Dog, that this is close to, you could call, true crime as well. It's very close to reality, and it is depicting, crimes.
Talk about not getting the movie. Sorry.
Exactly. I think this is
those kids would have flunked 8th grade in my school.
Okay. If you come out of this movie and think, oh, that sounds like a lovely life.
Gee, heroin sounds fun.
I think you need a talking. Wow. Anyway, but let's dig into the movie itself. And if you haven't watched it and don't want any spoilers, this is where you might want to pause the episode. Consider yourself warned. All right, so the movie starts with an introduction, a voiceover introduction by Christiane, the actress, introducing where she lives, which is this Großstadt, which we see is this towering, depressing building. I think it's an interesting thing that we have this idea of East Germany being this hellscape of concrete apartment buildings. And I think it's interesting that this takes place in a place that it looks like the worst nightmare of communist planning housing.
Social realism.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's just interesting to see that this also exists. Because sometimes when we see, maybe especially American movies set in East, West Germany or Berlin, we have the shining view of West Berlin compared to, the darkness of the East.
Sun is shining, birds are singing, grass is growing.
Yeah.
You cross over to Eastern Berlin, it's Eastern European despotism and depression.
Yeah, and this is just capitalist despotism and just awful living conditions where it's just clear nobody. And the movie goes into this a lot. The book goes into this a lot. Like, she describes how it is that, then there's a playground, and then they just come and erases the playground because it was annoying that the kids were there. And, just like every time they have something and there's some little glimmer of something, it's either it's removed to build something else, or just there is nothing in these people's lives if you live in this place. But the movie starts, as I said, in sort of the middle of the book. And she talks about going to the Sound with Kessie, which is a girl from her class, the cool girl in her class. And the Sound is this discotheque in West Berlin that they all want to go to, where it's the cool kids hanging out and where things are happening. And she sneaks in to the Sound, and we see what looks like a normal club, I suppose. But yeah, there's a movie, like a cinema in the back of this club, and she goes in there.
Seems pretty cool.
It seems pretty cool, but she goes in there, and there's a guy who comes and sort of grabs her.
Yeah, Kessie hooks up with some guys she knows, and then, Christiane kind of tags along, and while Kessie is making out with this guy she knows, the other guy is basically feeling her up.
But she pushes him away.
Yeah.
Which I think is the contrast they want to play with in the movie as well, compared to what happens later on, right? That she's not portrayed in this as being like a promiscuous girl in any way. She's a decent girl, right? Yeah. She also gets a pill, and she takes a pill in the bathroom. And right when she leaves, she goes into the bathroom stall, and we see a junkie who's passed out with a needle in his arm. He looks dead. He looks dead.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's supposed to be dead, because it's not like we later see an ambulance or anything.
No, but we see him walking out.
Oh, yeah, we see him walking out.
Yeah,
that's true.
He walks past her, looking at her like she's, a dork.
Yeah, but he looks really out of it. Yeah. And then outside, there's a guy she saw inside, and she's throwing up from this pill, and he comes over with his friend, and his name is Detlef, and his friend is called Axel, and they sort of ask if she's okay. That's where she meets Detlef for the first time, which will be sort of her love interest throughout the movie, but also in a way, I think the movie does more to say that maybe blame him than I think the book does in her descent into drug life, right?
Without having read the book, the first time we meet Detlef, he says you shouldn't have taken.
Yeah, you shouldn't have taken that shit, meaning the pill.
Yeah, the pill. Yeah. And then, he becomes a full-blown heroin addict, amongst other things. But while he's descending into this hell, he's actually trying to keep her out.
Yeah, and this happens both in the movie and in the book. Is that generally a lot of people are telling her don't do it, but then they still help her in some way. I mean, it also happens later when she does heroin for the first time. They're sort of trying to talk her out of it. Yeah. And anyway, then we have cut back to her apartment. She's with her sister, and her sister is going to live with her dad. The dad plays a massive role in the book, as sort of a violent character and not very nice person. And in the book, he's just referenced. There's no actor playing him or anything, but the sister is leaving to
stay.
In the movie, yeah, sorry. In the movie, he's not there. He's just referenced that the sister wants to go and live with him instead of with the mom, who has a new boyfriend.
And this is where, I mean, I need to read the book because this is, if I should, if it wasn't a book and this was all the context and information we had, this would be the weak point of the film,
I think so too, because it seems a little bit out of nowhere, right? That she goes...
Yeah, I mean, kind of, the apartment looks kind of normal.
Yeah, and her relationship with her mom is also much better than in the movie. They sort of hinted that she doesn't get along with her...
Yeah, but nothing really...
Her mother's new boyfriend.
Klaus.
So in reality, he was... like much younger than the mother, and they didn't get along at all. And she was sort of felt that she was in the way of their relationship, and so I agree that could have been explored a bit more in the movie if you hadn't read the book. That's a weak point, I think, as well. Anyway, we sort of see a period of time in her life where she's happy. She goes with Cassie and Detlef and some of their other friends to a mall, sort of break the rules and live recklessly as children and steal some money and gets chased by the police and end up on the roof, and it's very nice and everything. And they at this point, I think they're mostly just talking about drugs. They take some pills and this, but we're not at heroin yet in any way. We have one little interesting scene. She's at a train station with Cassie, trying to go home after they've been out partying, and Cassie's mother steps out of the train coming and sees her daughter all passed out and everything, and she slaps her and tells Christiane to stay away, even though it was maybe more the other way around. Than Cassie was the one.
Christiane looks like the bad influence.
Yeah, she looks like the bad influence. But there's also an interesting thing that on the other platform, you see a couple of older junkies. And, it's sort of like a foreshadowing of what's to come, what they will become, or at least Christiane would become very, very soon, without her knowing it yet, that she's on this path.
Yeah.
But then she sees that they're putting up a David Bowie poster because he is coming to Berlin.
And this is also not really exploring her relationship with her mom. From what's shown in the film, you would think, oh, that's a great mom.
Yeah, because she helps
I want to see David Bowie, and the mom just goes, I'll talk to someone at work.
Yeah, and get tickets.
I didn't have that.
No. And there's also I think she makes a homemade tattoo on her hand that matches Detlef.
Yeah.
And the mother seems fine with it. I mean, I don't know if they're trying to portray a mother who doesn't really know or care or has control of her daughter. I wouldn't say that the mother is particularly bad if you read the book either, but there's definitely more conflict than I think is portrayed in the movie at home, because her home life in the movie seems quite nice. To be honest.
Yeah. And Klaus seems pretty awesome.
He also seems completely fine.
Yeah.
The few 2 times or something we see. I mean, the most evil thing he does is give her a David Bowie record that she already has.
Yeah. And then she just hates him.
And then she just hates him. Yeah. Anyway, she gets some tickets to go tell Detlef that she's got these tickets and she wants to go with him to the David Bowie concert. And she sees him at Sound buying...
Heroin.
Buying H. Now, an interesting thing is that the girl that he's buying it from is actually a cameo from the real Stella, who we meet later on. Real name Katrine Schabek, who was at that time only 18, but that Christiane were friends with. They were prostitutes together and did drugs together. But she has a cameo in the movie. So she is the one that he buys heroin from. Instead, she gets mad at Detlef because she thinks he's stupid for taking heroin, and she decides to go with Leiche. Which is corpse. This other drug. She just takes another drug addict instead of her boyfriend.
And she says, if you, she sets an ultimatum, right?
Yeah.
If you do this, I never want to see you again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he sort of just shrugs and walks away. You could think that it's the first time he's doing it, but it already seems like he might be hooked.
He seemed,
determined.
He seemed very determined.
Yeah, exactly, right?
And laser focused on getting to the bathroom.
That's why I'm thinking, because I mean, I don't know if they're exactly boy and girlfriend left, but at least they're seeing each other and hanging out and all that. At 14, at that age, if a girl that you like came up to you and said, "Don't do this," and you weren't hooked, I think you would say, "Okay, fine, go on." Get a drink and kiss and make up, But yeah, he seems like he might already be hooked at that time. Anyway, they go to the David Bowie concert, and that's the only really big set piece I think we have in the movie. Apparently, it was like the part of David Bowie on the stage is recorded in New York, and the other one is just random concert photos, of concert video. So it wasn't like a real concert, but it looked quite good. But she meets Stella and Babsi at this concert, which are. This guy, is having a really bad time already before they get there.
I mean, he's having severe heroin withdrawal.
Yeah.
She tries to fix it by, buying some pills for him.
Or something,
He's just sitting there throughout the whole concert, just clutching his head, looking into the floor and sweating. I think this is the first time we hear the term fix.
Yeah.
And boy, does that term really cover what they're doing? That is a fix. I mean, instantly, once he gets the needle, he's just relaxed, happy, blessed.
Yeah, because after the concert, they sit in a car with another guy called Bernd, and they shoot up. And she's like, "I want to try it. I bought it. It's my money. I want to try it." And she sniffs it. And that's the first time she does heroin.
Yeah.
Later on, she meets these two girls that she met, Babsi and Stella, and Detlef at the Sound. Yeah, they have a talk about it. Like, I think he can see that she took it. I think he says she's stupid for doing it, but yeah.
Yeah, he says, I mean, you're stupid, and why do you have to do everything that I do?
Yeah, exactly.
He seems genuinely disappointed.
Yeah, but he also, I think what kills him is that he knows that he's the bad influence in a way, that he knows that she's doing it because of him, to sort of be with him, to impress him. He takes her to Axel's house, which is just a drug den. Just disgusting. I mean, it looks
bad,
very bad. I mean, I think you realize there how far Detlef is already, and his friends. I think he's there with Axel and Bernd that we meet in outside the concert as well. And you can see that they are already. I mean, they're not living at home anymore. Yeah. They are already fully addicted to heroin and living in just a drug den, right?
Yeah.
She stays overnight, and Detlef confesses that he's a male prostitute who goes to this Sioux station and looks for hookups with homosexual men.
Yeah.
And she doesn't really believe it, but it's not something that scares her off.
There's a I'll try again.
Yeah.
There's a valid distinction here that they keep going back to in the film, which is he only gives them handjobs.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so there's no penetration, they can't touch him. Very much the continuous story that alcoholics, drug addicts, and so on, tell about their abuse is that it's under control, and whatever I do to uphold this is within my control, and I can basically, I can stop. Yeah. I think that's a very general
especially
thing for addicts.
when you see what happens later on.
Yeah,
yeah. Not to spoil it, but yeah. Next, we see her at home. It's her birthday, and her mother has already left for work and leaves a cake and some money.
One thing. This is where they sleep together the first time, right? Where they're talking.
Yeah, but they don't.
They're not doing anything.
No, I think she says that she doesn't want her first time to.
Yeah.
No, that's late, right? But they don't do anything.
No. But this is where they become boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is where one of the most depressing scenes I think in the film is. He looks at her in bed. Imagine like newly in love, 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
And he just looks at her and he says, "Please don't become a crack whore or a drug whore."
I mean, it's just rough.
Jesus Christ.
When you think about like their age and and I also just to say that the actors in this, they're all the age. It's not like one of those, where you have 30-year-old high school students as you have in every American movie, right? I mean, these are. And I think the performances are quite impressive for very young children playing these roles. I think they were like 15 or 16 when they played it, maybe, and they're playing 14-year-olds. You can almost say it's child abuse to make them act out some of these roles and expose them to this world. Oh, just to say, because I read that actually there's scenes later where she does become involved in prostitution. And there was actually an incident where she's on the road and they're filming it, and the guy stopped to pick her up, and she was almost entering the car, but it wasn't the guy she was like. It wasn't the actor in the real car,
damn.
and she almost went in to a car with a guy who actually out looking for child prostitutes.
Holy shit! I
And
didn't know that.
she saw that the crew was running to stop her from getting into the car. And it's just, I mean,
talk about depicting reality.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think also there's some scenes later where they're at this train station and they're just panning over people. I think most of them were not actors; they're just the people that we are depicting in the movie. And that's what's so crazy about this time frame as well. I think that these people many of them would have been there, with the real people,
Still.
right? Yeah, exactly. Anyway, she goes to this zoo station, and we see how shady it is, and really a gross place, dark. All the lights out is dirty. There are like men walking around asking her like what her prices are and stuff.
Yeah.
And she goes to meet Detlef, who she knows is hanging out there, but she meets Axel and Bernd, and they sort of give an introduction to this world. That they're standing on sort of the side of the back of the station, and that's where all the male prostitutes hang out. And he tells them about, well, the Bernd, I think it is, who tells her about, you know, this weird character and this weird character, and these old men that are just chatting them up and saying, oh, they like him, or they think he's cute, and there's stuttering Max who only gets off when he's beaten, and I mean,
when he's whipped,
it's just like, it's rough, right? But she meets Detlef here, and they decide to use her birthday money to buy a hit of heroin.
Yeah.
And she wants to shoot up now. She is past the sniffing stage, and she wants to shoot off. And again, we have this, as you mentioned before, this reluctance that doesn't last very long.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could blame them, but again, you have to remember they're 14. I mean, they are also children. I mean, these boys.
Yeah.
I mean, they are also just children and acting stupid. I mean, they're sort of like, no, you shouldn't do that. But she follows them into the restroom, and there's like another junkie there, and she asks him for help to sort of give her the fix.
She gets his needle.
Yeah, because they don't want to share with, her friends doesn't want to share, and she asks the guy for his kit.
If he's done with his needle. And then this really, I mean, that grossed me out. Just, I mean, to be completely honest, once she starts like rinsing it off.
No, that's later.
No, but she also rinses it off here where she kind of sprays blood out of it. Blood residue and then, water from the tap. And I was just like, in my mind, I kind of, at that stage in the film, I kind of forgot that we're in the 70s and AIDS wasn't a thing yet because
even before the movie it's only just the first few weird cases, right?
And my thought was just, no, she's gonna get AIDS. Like that was, but wow, that was a graphic one.
I mean, when you read the book, they do get a lot of other weird diseases, and it's clear to see why. I mean, it's just so graphic. I mean, it's just so
horrible,
disgustingly graphic. Yeah, she shoots up for the first time, and later.
He also calls her stupid.
Yeah, they call her stupid again. Yeah, the older junkie sort of says, now you're hooked on it too.
Yeah, you're making a big mistake.
You're making a big mistake, right? It's about seeing the signs. but yeah, they are kind of blind to it at this point, I think. So her and Detlef finally have sex for the first time. They want to do it without being high. So they have sex and they decide, let's get clean. But, I mean, very, very quickly after we see that they are back at it. I mean, because we have also seen that the first time we hear about a death is right after this point where Babsi and Stella and Christiane are walking and they see a newspaper clipping that said that Arze is one of her friends has OD'd in a bathroom. And again, we have the actual photo of the guy lying out of a toilet stall, OD'd. And it's not like I said, it is the picture that they used in the paper. Yeah. It is the paper. I mean, remember, this is just a few years before they would have been able to get the actual paper clipping. And so in the book, it's actually her first kind of boyfriend. I think it's very, she says she knows him, but it's, I find it hard to find out where she is. But I think it's actually the guy who feels her up in that cinema. I think that's the one. Yeah. But there is more of a history behind it. She takes it a little more lightly here than she does in the book. But yeah, it's the first time we hear about like a death in this crowd. The next thing is we see that they are clearly hooked still. Detlef, he's still turning tricks at the station, and she's out begging for money. And that's when she has her first encounter with a guy looking for sex. He sort of waves her over as she's trying to say, I lost some money, or I lost my train card, or whatever. Can you spare some change? And he calls her over and ends up paying her to give him a hand job in his car. And Detlef is really angry with her for doing this. But she's like, what could I do? You needed it, and we needed it. And I mean, it's a heartbreaking scene as well, because again, he knows that she's doing it for him in a way, and he also knows he has a big part to play in why she's there.
Yeah, and she says, "I did it for you."
Yeah,
and then he kind of tries to justify again. You would have. I mean, you were getting paranoid as well.
Yeah.
You needed a fix, and you would have done the same thing if it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So kind of the level of sexual favors they offer for money to keep their drug abuse going is constantly being used in the relationship as kind of, are you enjoying it? Would you have done it? I mean, is it for me? Is it for you? You see the juvenile, concepts that are present in the first relationships just in a really bizarre heroin setting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, their fights are what you would expect, but they're just all surrounding this addiction that they have. Yeah. It's really crazy. I don't know. I mean, it's just
well made.
It's well made, and it feels honest, and I think it really adds to it this dynamic. I mean, it's clear that what drives this movie is the relationship between these two. Right after this, she's at home in her mother's apartment, with her mother where she lives, and she is in the bathroom, and she shoots up and she ODs. And she falls down in the bathroom, and her mother comes home and her mother's boyfriend, and they find out that she's on heroin, and that she's a heroin addict. And she wakes up in bed, and Detlef is there, because the mother knew about Detlef, and she figures that it's probably because of him that she's doing this. And she also knows, the mother knows, that she's never going to get clean alone if Detlef doesn't get clean as well. So they're basically locked in a room, and this is...
Have you seen Trainspotting?
No, it's one I want to get to. It's not like I cut it off. It's just I've never gotten around to watch it.
You should. But it's one of my absolute favorite films. For me, the best movie depicting abuse or substance abuse. Yeah. And this scene where her and Detlef are getting clean is so iconic that Trainspotting more or less took it frame for frame, and I mean, reused all of the effects that this movie shows. The sweating, the hallucinations, the shaking, the absolute sense of despair in the room. The throwing up. Ironically, when she starts spewing red wine everywhere. Also, what a move from the mom.
Just put bottles of red wine in there.
Her 16-year-old daughter is detoxing from heroin. 14 is detoxing from heroin, and she, I mean, in the get clean room, she has a bottle of red wine. But as she starts throwing up, they have actually at that point decided to not get clean, or to have a small reward themselves with a small fix in the middle of their.
Yeah, they say something just for the.
For the pain.
Just for the pain.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean,
but she throws up over the drugs.
Yeah, and they have a massive cold turkey in the room, and after that we see them, and they appear to be clean. They think they're clean, that they've now been through this, and they sort of go to the Sioux station to meet Bernd and Axel, and they're like, "Wow, you really did it! You really made it through to the other side, and maybe we should do it, but we already bought this fix." And they're like, "Let's go and shoot up, and then we'll also get clean." And again, we have, as you've raised several times, this. I have it under control. I can do it. It's so much in this movie that you see this fantasy they live in where they think they can just do a little.
Yeah, this scene rings really true I haven't struggled with addiction in this sense at all, but I did smoke cigarettes from 16 to 30, and I smoked a pack a day, and I've quit a lot of time. The look they get in their eyes when they think they're out, and then they decide to reward themselves, for being good. I've had that same discussion with myself over cigarettes countless of times.
I think they say now we know we can get clean.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, it's the same. You would say, now I know I can.
Yeah.
I can quit smoking. So I'll start smoking again.
That really spoke to a part of me. That scene, all happy, because you're also rewarding yourself for actually stopping something that you hated by doing it. It's a paradox.
Yeah. Then we have a long montage of just, the most sad characters in this world, and of cars picking up girls off the street. And this is what we talked about before. A lot of these are just real scenes. It's not staged. It's just they put up a camera and filmed what was happening around this place, which I think is also, again, what with this movie being made almost at the same time. It's not like 20 years past. It was still going on at the time, which adds to the realism. Then Axel, their friend, the one with the drug house, ODs, they go to his place and he has a needle in his arm, eyes wide open and dead. Now it's hinted that he might have done it himself. I think it's hinted, they're like, why would he do it? Something they're talking afterwards. I think they think that he OD'd on purpose in some way. And I think it's hinted in the book as well, if I remember correctly.
In the film, at least, there's a pattern that goes, we'll get into the other cases, but there's a pattern that kind of follows, I'm quitting tomorrow or I'm quitting next week. Perhaps it is the idea of, because a part of getting clean is, at least from what I've read and, watched and so on, is a real depression kind of follows the fact that you can't do this anymore. And that depression lingers way longer than the physical addiction
exactly.
of it. Again, if I'm off nicotine, I don't feel like doing anything at all. Everything, colors lose vibrancy, food loses taste, the ups are not as uppy, the lows are much lower. There's definitely a sense of depression that sets in, and that's nicotine. I can only imagine what heroin does.
Yeah, I've never smoked other than the occasional, so I don't know the feeling, but it does look nice. Anyway, they at this point, after this, they are just, and they're at each other's throats, and they're really, really vulnerable. After Axel ODs, we see that she is getting more and more desperate for money. She's out there looking for customers on the road for cars that will stop for her. We know what that means. She's trying to sell stuff. She's selling her records, her David Bowie records, which we knew how much they meant to her. She's rummaging through her mom's house for money, for things to sell. And then we have the worst scene. Probably one of the worst drug scenes I've ever seen in a movie, where she finally gets a fix, and she goes into a bathroom again. And right when she's about to fix, she looks up in the stall, and there's another drug addict sitting on top, crawling into her.
The same one that helped her with her first fix.
Is it the same one? Yeah, okay. But he jumps in to the stall with her and grabs the needle, and he bashes out through the stall, and there's an old lady standing there, and he just pushes it in front, and he sticks the needle into his neck artery. And takes her shot, and when he pulls out, there's blood running everywhere and everything, and the needle is full of blood, and he just throws it back to her and thanks for the fix or whatever. And that old woman is just standing there completely shell-shocked. And the next thing we see her clean the needle because she wants to do whatever is left, or what I don't even know. But
if she had more left,
if she had more left or something, but she's cleaning the needle in the toilet, in that public restroom outside a train station, in the toilet bowl, sort of flushing it and then sucking water into it until it's
spraying blood out.
It's so gross.
That was a bad one.
I think this is where this is the lowest you can get. That is what it portrays, right?
In terms of the reaction that it provoked in me, to keep it within films we've watched, it's way worse than the infamous man bites dog
scene,
sexual assault scene.
Yeah. This one is just
it's way less graphic, but it's harrowing.
Yeah, it's terrible. And it's, I think also because Man Bites Dog has a bit of humor in it still, but this is just it's so bleak. It's so bleak. Anyway, she meets Babsy, then they get a fix again, and Babsy's sort of saying that tomorrow I'm gonna go to a clinic and get clean. Then she meets Detlef again. And Detlef says that he has moved in with one of his regulars. We saw the regular earlier. He's a homosexual guy who has an eye to him, drives a red sports car. I believe his name is Rolf. I can't remember completely, but I think it's also in the book. Anyway, this guy agrees that she can come and stay with him and Detlef in his apartment. And we see him call Detlef to him at night. Detlef is still having this, like, telling her that, he's only doing hand jobs. With his customers, he's not doing any penetration, anything. But then she hears moaning in the other room. And she goes in and turns on the light and lifts the blanket, and they're having intercourse, right? Yeah. And she gets pissed at Detlef.
And this is where she draws the line.
This is where she draws the line. No. I mean, it's such a terrible scene because she's like, you promised, and you said. I think there's also a thing about, like, the fact that he moaned or something. She's like, you said you didn't even like it or something, and he's like screaming like, what the hell do you want me to do? I mean, this
is like the last shred of hope and love that just evaporates.
Exactly.
I mean, just to put it in context, this is where, when I referenced what my sister said when we were watching it,
was that at that point?
We're in it here, and it's hard to describe without you watching it, but it's just compounded misery, scene over scene over scene, and it never relents.
No.
It's a really rough watch at the end. There's also the scene before the intercourse scene where they're both craving a fix, like in the sofa room at the client's house. Yeah. And Detlef kind of goes out and then comes in with a needle, obviously having exchanged the sexual favor for the heroine. And then he says, I brought you some. And then he shoots it in her hand. And she goes back to sleep. They wake up. So you get this picture of them just, fixing up in this room. And Detlef, whenever they need drugs, goes out.
Yeah, I think it's also a thing, that he's not even getting paid anymore, like in money.
That
he can
it's just
use.
In heroin.
He can't use it for something to eat or anything anymore. I mean, it's just an exchange for drugs now. Yeah. Anyway, she runs out of the apartment and she goes looking for Babsi. Now, while she's looking for Babsi, she's also, again, entering withdrawal. And she's runs into Stuttering Max again, the guy who only comes when he gets whipped. And she sort of yells at him that he's a pathetic character and all that. But then she turns around.
Chases after
him. And we see her exchange the favor for another fix. And then when she's done, she sees a paper in the street, and it says the youngest victim of heroin dies at 14, and it's a picture of Babsi, who has OD'd. And it's, again, as we say, that is the real paper, the real picture of this 14-year-old girl. And I think that is where this movie really, I don't think it could get made today, because it is her name, the face of the person. I mean, it's not like they just edited a picture of the actress into it or anything. It is just
it's the actual
photo,
front
right?
Page,
The next thing we see, she goes into a restaurant and she shoots up and she ODs. She sort of falls on the floor, and then we see a picture of a small village in the snow, and there's a voiceover again that says that she didn't die, that she's been sent to live with family near Hamburg, her grandmother and her aunt, and that she's been clean for a year and a half.
Yeah,
and then that's where the movie ends. Now, in the book, this is only about halfway through the book, because there's a lot about this, and she goes back. And, I mean, it's a really torturous journey for her out, and there's also a lot of her trying to gain normalcy in this new place, or meeting new friends that are just, I mean, the scars on this girl's soul from what she's been through. It's very hard for her to relate to anybody, of course, because they live in the countryside. I mean, when we started this, we talked about us living in places where maybe our parents or whatever shielded us from this kind of thing, and that's sort of what she moves into, and but she has all this baggage.
She has no sense of belonging.
No, exactly. And even before she gets there, there's a whole thing that she tries to get clean, and in all kinds of like shady practices. So there's something called, I think, Narcocon or something. I can't remember the full name, but anyway, it was like a place for drug addicts to go and get clean, but it was run by Scientology, so it's like a cult thing where they were trying to, of course, influence people, and there's a lot of description of these shady practices, and the parents try to get her out of there, and the dad especially maybe doesn't fully realize how bad it is, and is just angry that she's being kept there, and I mean, it's really, really a rough story as well. I think if you want to take the movie, I think the movie is portraying the main part of the story. I know there was a series made later where it's more like the full book, but I think for what it is, the story tells the story, and it's a warning about.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
the film on its own wrapped it up neatly, because I think the last sentence she says is, the road is still long for me, or something like that. I've just begun,
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't, just to reference the last film we watched, it's not the magic escalator to the sky.
No, it definitely
at all.
No. Ooh, that was a rough watch.
Insanely rough. Yeah.
But how would you rate it?
I give it an 8.
Yeah. I think
it's.
I think an 8 as well. It's maybe even an 8.5. I might actually give it an 8.5. I think it's one of those movies that just leaves you with such a pit in your stomach afterwards that and it's so honest and raw, and I think the performance is amazing from these young. I mean, apparently only the girl playing Christiane F was in a few movies after that. None of the other ones acted in anything. If there's anything I can say, I would say there's a little bit, maybe some ethical things in it that I think the fact that you're making a movie, not changing anything, making it about people that are still in it, there's some things there that, of course, now looking back at it 45 years later, now it doesn't really matter too much, of course. I mean, that's just a distant past. But I would say if you made a movie like this that just took place in 2024, I mean, and you just use all the same people. I mean, imagine somebody like Detlef. You're portraying a boy who is at this point
still alive,
still maybe only 16 or 17 years old. You're depicting him selling himself, having intercourse with older gay men. I mean, it's a bit.
And him probably still not being clean.
Oh, he wasn't. I mean, they all had rough lives after. It's not like any of them.
But I mean, you would probably need to come up with a bit more than $2.7 million just in settlements for doing that.
Yeah.
But I disagree completely on the ethics part. What makes this so powerful, in my perspective, is that it's a clear. I mean, you're not in doubt at any point that it's not celebrating drug use.
No, true.
But it never becomes preachy.
No, that's true.
Like some of the other, Requiem for a Dream, there are other, movies about abuse where it gets really preachy about how horrible it is, and you know what they have to do, and it's just like you feel so bad for them. Where here, I think it's without ever been in the situation. I think it rings true.
Oh no, I agree. With that. I agree with that.
And if
definitely there's some of the fact that it is powerful because it is
documentary-esque, right?
Yeah. I mean, I and I know this is a completely different genre and everything, but it sort of almost feels. Maybe it seems silly, but go with it. Like Band of Brothers, like that kind where you have a feeling that you're watching a dramatization of real stories, like in a way that you don't have, for example, in Saving Private Ryan or whatever you have, which is fiction but set in a historical setting. This is also. It feels like it's not. It feels
made up.
It doesn't feel made up in any way. Like you believe everything that you see, and it is very close to at least what's written in the book. Then you can discuss that. But I mean,
and that's why I think it's such a powerful anti-heroin statement, because it's just like, this is the picture of the teenage girl that OD'd. On heroin, and also if you think it, if you take it a step further and you say, how would the families feel if it was, if it was romanticized, or if they spun it in some weird sense, I could get the animosity. But if anything, if you have a child that passes from heroin abuse, and their picture is put into this film only a few years later, I can't see it as anything but
you're right.
As their children playing a part in others not repeating it.
Yeah, true. And of course, this is a movie based on a book, which already sort of laid it out already. I mean, it wasn't like and the authors, ghostwriters of the book, it's told in first person, the book from her point of view, right? But their book is, of course, also was supplemented by articles with pictures of all these people that are in the movie and in the book and everything. So I mean, I don't think it's the movie necessarily that did it, but I still think there's a bit of this, that these are still underage, and some of them are not dead, right? I mean, they also have an interest perhaps in their own. I can't help but think that it is for I'm maybe perhaps thinking most of Detlef as a character, because I also read that he did not like being written about, or the movie or anything, the real Detlef, and I can see I could fear that it would have added to his problem. It would have been hard to get out of the situation, because when she's giving these interviews, she is clean. She's out of it already. Would it have been different if...
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, would he have been able to quietly get out of the situation that he's in, or did this weird stardom and celebrity putting him in... I wouldn't say it's not like flattering for him, but as a 16-year-old boy to be the most famous movie in the entire country you live in.
Yeah, kind of augmenting your reality. Yeah.
Having intercourse with a gay man, and you're not gay yourself, and it's... it's just some of the things that I think about, that it cannot have been easy.
No, I don't think very many things about this film was easy. And I respect the argument you're making, but I still, perhaps choose to ignore Detlef's plight for
the greater good, in a way.
For the greater good of...
how effective an anti-drug movie it is. I mean, you can see I'll give it 8.5. It's not like it affects greatly, but I think it's an interesting discussion to have.
Agreed.
All right, we need to find the next movie. So the next movies we're going to watch West Beirut from Lebanon and Darat or Dry Season from Chad. And we have to find the next movie to watch, which, as always, we'll do by spinning a random country generator and then finding a movie. I am spinning the wheel. I'm not going to make the sound effects. You are going to make the sound effects.
It's still very low budget.
Oh, another African movie.
Nice.
From Guinea-Bissau. And the only one that I was actually able to find that was sort of readily available that we could watch is the 1988 Morto Nega, directed by Flora Gomez. It was the first movie produced in independent Guinea-Bissau, and it is about their war for independence from Portugal. So that's the movie we'll be watching next. I think it'll be interesting to see
I look forward to that
a war movie from an African country giving a perspective on the colonial or decolonial wars in sort of like a proxy Cold War setting. Yeah,
I don't think it will disappoint.
No, I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and another one where I'm really happy that it's not a Hollywood version we're watching with Leonardo DiCaprio with a diamond up his ass.
Yeah. I mean, I think now we're going to watch the next couple of ones are going to be maybe areas or topics that are often depicted in Hollywood movies, but seeing it from the point of view of the other side, if you will, or maybe from the people concerned themselves.
As it should be.
All right. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for
sticking with us.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Foreign Film Frequency. Please like, rate, and review us wherever you're listening. Please share us far and wide.